All right. Look, I know this is late. I was out of town this weekend, right? This time I wasn't even running from anything. I was enjoying life up until I watched my Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose in person in the freezing cold to the Buffalo Bills. That was great. But I have made it back in the nick of time to give you a run through of all of the matches you need to pay attention to today. And I have prioritized this video over anything else, and trust me, there's a lot of other videos that I want to make based off of the things that I haven't talked about over the last 2 weeks, and I'm going to fucking make them. But we are going to start with the time-sensitive thing, the most time-sensitive thing, which is we have the most insane day of World Cup qualifying ever coming up right now, and I'm going to tell you why. Because 3 different continents have like winner-take-all matches happening. There are winner-take-all matches happening all over the place, and if you don't stay awake for CONCACAF qualifying now, you never will. Because CONCACAF qualifying is about to drop an all-time masterclass tonight, and I'm going to run you through everything that's happening so you can be as cripplingly emotionally invested as I am. We start with Iraq and UAE. I am starting this video right as that match kicks off, unfortunately. But if you're watching this video in the moments that it has come out, because we can turn these videos around very quickly, then you are going to be able to catch the end of Iraq versus the United Arab Emirates, and that is important. Because that's the final match of Asian World Cup qualifying. It is the second leg of the Asian 5th round, right? And these teams now, because of how many rounds Asia has, are playing their 20th World Cup. 20! They're playing their 20th World Cup qualifying match. And so many of those matches have been right on the line. Like, I would not want to be these teams. I would not. Because Asian World Cup qualifying has been an absolute nightmare. I mean, the 3rd stage was this. And Iraq was 1 point away from automatically qualifying for the World Cup in the 3rd stage. They were 1 point away from automatically qualifying for the World Cup in the 3rd stage. It's ridiculous, right? They also had to play the 2nd stage, where they finished, 6 wins from 6. Very impressive. They probably should have done that. Then you go to the 4th stage, right after missing the World Cup by 1, and they played a match against Saudi Arabia that if they had scored 1 more goal, they would have made it, right? The United Arab Emirates also played a match against Qatar where if they would have won, they would have gone to the World Cup. And if we go back to the 3rd stage, just to give UAE a shout out, they weren't quite as close, right? They were not quite as close to making the World Cup as Iraq was. But if you finish 2nd in this weird little group thing, then you go to the 5th stage, which is freaking home and away. And the first match at the UAE was a 1-1 kind of nervy match, but now, finally, there are no more matches to play. These 2 teams have been strung along, particularly Iraq has been so ridiculously close to making it to the World Cup on 2 separate occasions, and this isn't even for a World Cup spot. This is just to stay alive. That's what these 2 teams have been doing the whole time, doing enough to stay alive. And they're in Basra, Iraq, and if Iraq or UAE are able to win this match, and one of them has to, then they're going to go to the World Cup playoff. And the World Cup playoff is 6 teams. The top 2 teams get a bye in the first round. That's based off world ranking. As far as I understand it, I don't think either of these teams has a shot to be one of those top 2 teams. I think it depends on what CONCACAF teams come through into the playoff and everything. It's a bit of a mess. Obviously, you want to get that one bye, but who knows? The most important thing in the name of the game for these 2 teams is just don't get knocked out. And if you lose this match, you get knocked out, thanks to the 1-1 at the UAE. So that match is going on right now. And if you tune in, you probably have the opportunity to catch some late drama. Hopefully, I'm steering you towards some sort of brilliant extra time winner or penalty shootout. Then we head to Europe. Europe is exciting. It is not the CONCACAF, to me, is the most exciting thing today, but there are a couple of winner-take-all games in Europe. First one is Austria, Bosnia, Herzegovina. This is a group that I've looked at for a long time. Austria was the top-seeded team in this group. That's a pretty weak top-seeded team, so we always knew this was going to be a bit of an opportunity. And then Romania just popped up and beat Austria, which just closed the gap for Bosnia and Herzegovina at the top here. And as a result, this match is being played in Vienna. If Bosnia and Herzegovina can go to Vienna and win, no ifs, ands, or buts, Bosnia and Herzegovina is going to the World Cup. If Austria can win or draw at home against Bosnia and Herzegovina, then it's going to the World Cup. Right? If you don't, whoever loses this match, if somebody loses, is going to the European playoff. In a draw, Bosnia and Herzegovina is going to the European playoff. That's it. There's no other drama in this group. It's just that. It's straight up and down. That's kicking 3 p.m., 8 p.m. London time for you p.m.ers, that would be an 18 or a 19 like Berlin time or something, that all of these matches in Europe are kicking off. If Liechtenstein beats Belgium, that opens up a whole bunch of weird possibilities. So if you see that score popping up, start Googling shit. I'm not going to waste my time with it otherwise. Shout out to Kosovo, by the way. Kosovo has managed to play its way into a position where if it beats Switzerland by 6 goals, it goes to the World Cup. But let's not lie to ourselves. That's not going to happen. Switzerland has to avoid a catastrophic loss at Kosovo in order to qualify for the World Cup once again. Mathematically, they haven't done it yet. Scotland hosting Denmark. Weird-ass group. All right, both these teams had a big opportunity in their last match. If Scotland had won against Greece, they would currently be top of the group and would only need a draw. They lost, of course. And Denmark, if they had won against Belarus, would have basically been comfy. They would have been cozy, right? If they'd won, they would have had an 8-goal difference advantage going into a road trip to Scotland. But for some ungodly reason, they gifted Belarus their first point of the entire World Cup qualifying group in order to unlock the possibility that if Scotland wins at home at Hampden Park, they go to the World Cup. This is another just straight, it's the same as Austria, Bosnia-Herzegovina, except the lesser team in the point totals is the home team here. If Denmark wins or draws in Scotland, not the easiest thing to do, it's going to the World Cup again. If Scotland can win, like finally, there's no other ifs, ands, or buts. I love saying that, but it's just down to one game. If Scotland can show up and just beat Denmark at home on this day, one corner, one Troy Parrott moment, then Scotland's going to the World Cup, which is a huge deal because we've seen some World Cup droughts end. We've seen some new teams make the World Cup, right? Norway, of course, making it for the first time since 1998. But Scotland traditionally is one of, if not the most successful national teams in the origins of the sport. They have not been to the World Cup like Norway since 1998. They've only been to the World Cup once since 1990. And before that, they were basically making it almost every time. Qualified and withdrew, qualified, didn't qualify for 3. From 74 to 90, Scotland was at every single World Cup that was played. Scotland hasn't won a World Cup game since 1990. They have an opportunity to at least send themselves there with just a win in this match. While Denmark, a team that's come to expect in the last 25 years to be at the World Cup, they've got a chance to send themselves there again. Turkey has to beat Spain by like 1 billion in order to flip the automatic qualifying there. And so Spain is very likely through. Not even going to go in on that. And then there's this match, which on paper looks like it should be incredibly dramatic. It's actually not that dramatic. Shout out Nations League, because both of these teams won their Nations League group, which means whoever loses this match, or if it's a draw, Wales in this case, would go to the European playoff as one of the 4 Nations League group winners that didn't finish top 2 in their group. Whoever wins this match becomes a seeded team in the European playoff, at least a higher seeded team. And so that is at least what is on the line here. And of course, like I said, if Belgium loses to Liechtenstein, which would be the funniest thing ever, there is the possibility that North Macedonia or Wales, depending on who wins this match, could go to the World Cup. But we understand how 1 in a billion that is. It'll still be an intense, dramatic match. It's being played in Wales, right? And going into the playoff as a seeded team, potentially getting a home match in the European playoff semifinal could be what makes all the difference. So it still is important. But now we go to CONCACAF. And the reason I'm getting to CONCACAF pretty quickly, not that we've missed any match that's seriously important. By the way, we're almost at halftime. Iraq, UAE, still scoreless. So you've got time to tune in for the dramatic part. Is all 3 of the groups in CONCACAF are... There is not one team. Not one. Actually, maybe one. I think there is one. There is no team mathematically guaranteed even a playoff spot. Do you know how ridiculous that is? I mean, look at the groups here. Look at the groups. That's the wrong continent. Look at these. There is not one team mathematically guaranteed a playoff spot. The one team that virtually is Curacao, because their goal difference is +10, right? It would require a 6-7-0 type beatdown to flip that if Curacao happens to lose its final match. Every other team very conceivably has a route to be completely eliminated from the World Cup tonight. In the final match day. That's insane. We'll start up here. We're going to start up here. I don't know, it's a little zoomed in for my taste. Okay, Group A. Right there. Boom. Suriname and Panama, right? Obviously, Guatemala and El Salvador are out. That's heartbreaking for them. The way these groups work, by the way, is first place, automatic World Cup. Second place, if you're one of the two, so there's three groups, obviously. If you're one of the top two second place teams, so as long as you're not the worst second place team, you go to the playoff, the Intercontinental Playoff. As long as you are not the worst second place team, you go to the Intercontinental Playoff. So what does that mean? That means that Suriname and Panama will be wildly uncomfortable if they don't win. But if Suriname and Panama win, either of them, they're guaranteed at least a playoff spot. Just the way the math works out. They are guaranteed at least a playoff spot if they win their game. Now, how do you actually make the World Cup if you're these teams? Well, if you're Suriname, you've got a 3-goal difference advantage on the road against Guatemala, which means if you win and you preserve that 3-goal difference advantage, which means you win 2-0 and Panama doesn't win 25-0, then Suriname is going to its first ever World Cup. We have an opportunity to virtually run the table with first-time World Cup teams in CONCACAF, which is amazing. It is awesome. You know, the expansion of the World Cup to 48 is to give nations like these a chance to see themselves represented, and they're doing it. Suriname's like 140th in the world. They, 10 years ago, were completely irrelevant. They have built their national team out of nowhere, right? Obviously using a diaspora in the Netherlands to build a Surinamese national team that can actually do this. Like, I'm sure they can't even believe where they're at. Where teams like Guatemala have been working for 20 years, right? Teams like Guatemala got to the Gold Cup semifinal. Well, Guatemala's out. And all of a sudden, Suriname's the team walking into Guatemala going, hey, if we win here, we go to the World Cup. Very likely, right? Because that goal difference advantage is 3 over Panama. Horribly disappointing for Panama. They would have been the favorites in this group as a team that's, been to the World Cup in recent memory. They were the top-seeded team coming into this group. They're at home against El Salvador. It is always possible Panama just opens the floodgates and just puts 6 on El Salvador and all of a sudden makes Suriname really have to sweat it out. Because let's say they put 6 on El Salvador, this goal difference is going up to +8, and that means Suriname, even with a 2-goal win against Guatemala, it wouldn't be enough. So there's a lot up in the air here. Now, if these teams draw, we'll get to that later. We're going to get to some of the second place eventualities later. Of course, if both of these teams draw, Suriname's going to the World Cup anyways. And then Panama is going to be the one sweating out whether they actually get to go to the playoff or not. Whoever gets first in this dang group, right? If Suriname outpoints Panama in any way, a draw and Panama loses, a win and Panama draws, Suriname's going to the World Cup. And it's the same thing for Panama. If Panama fails to win, or if Suriname fails to win and Panama does win, Panama's going to the World Cup. Suriname's going to figure out if it's going to go to the playoff. Now, in Group B, it's pretty straightforward. Curacao is visiting Jamaica. If Curacao can hold on for a draw in Jamaica, it's going to the World Cup and becomes the smallest nation ever to make the World Cup. People will bring up the fact that, well, Curacao obviously has a significant diaspora where Iceland didn't necessarily, but I don't give a shit. That's still crazy impressive. This is a nation of about 150,000 people. I have been there. I have been to Iceland. I have been to Curacao. Curacao is magnitudes smaller. Like, the population density of Curacao is way higher than Iceland, right? This is not a big island. Cool island, lovely people. Like I said, been there, spent like a week there. No chance, even when I was there a couple of years ago, that you would have looked at that island and gone, yeah, because Curacao plays baseball too. Curacao is a relevant factor at the World Baseball Classic, which is the World Cup of baseball. This is an unbelievably athletic island that is doing this. And if they can get at least a draw at Jamaica, they're good. Jamaica, horribly disappointing qualifying. They are the big-time favorites in this group. They got Bermuda, who's a layup. Trinidad and Tobago's not what they used to be. Curacao was the unknown dark horse upstart, and Jamaica's been caught sleeping. With the expansion of the World Cup, there is no team in the world that was really supposed to benefit more from that than Jamaica. A team that miraculously found new and exciting ways to barely miss the World Cup every time, despite making multiple Gold Cup finals in the last 10, 15 years. I mean, this has consistently been one of the best 3 or 4 teams in CONCACAF. In terms of talent, in terms of results, they just can't get to the World Cup, and they're doing it again. But if they can win at home against Curacao, that is all forgotten, and Jamaica is going back to the World Cup. The Reggae Boys finally returning to the big stage. Curaçao's going to try and stop that. They've got a dream. Now, of course, Jamaica with a loss, if Curaçao wins, is in some trouble, even with that +8 goal difference. The reason is because Honduras and Haiti don't play each other. And Group C is an absolute fucking mess. Because Honduras just went and lost 2-0 to Nicaragua. They could have been cruising comfortably in front of this group, totally bottled it. Haiti, meanwhile, turned up and just beat Costa Rica to all of a sudden put Costa Rica on elimination watch. Right? If Costa Rica had gone and won that match, they'd be top of this group. But this group makes no sense. It never has. And it's come down to this final match where Haiti is playing against Nicaragua. And if Haiti wins, there's a solid chance they go to the World Cup because Costa Rica and Honduras are playing for their damn lives. All right, Costa Rica has to win. And they are at home against Honduras, a team that just lost by 2 goals to Nicaragua earlier in this window. Who the hell knows what happened? If Costa Rica doesn't win, it's out. Their math is very, very simple. Even if Costa Rica wins, they could still be out. That's particularly depressing math for Costa Rica. For example, if Costa Rica wins, but so does Haiti. Haiti's at home against Nicaragua. They are the betting favorite. It's a neutral site game. Haiti can't really play at home, but you get the idea. If Haiti wins and Costa Rica wins, Costa Rica's on 9 points with a positive goal difference. Well, they're not going to finish ahead of either of these teams because they both literally already have more points than that. So they need either Panama or Suriname to lose. If Panama and Suriname at least draw their matches, it doesn't matter what Costa Rica does. If Costa Rica wins and Haiti wins, Costa Rica needs a loss from one of these two teams or it's out anyways. Now, of course, Costa Rica can still automatically go to the World Cup if Costa Rica wins and Haiti doesn't win. Because look at that goal difference. Costa Rica actually has an advantage. So if Costa Rica can preserve, well, obviously, if Haiti doesn't win, then Costa Rica is only adding to its goal difference here. So Costa Rica would be 9 points and a better goal difference and finish above Haiti and Honduras. Costa Rica's probably got the widest possible berth of things that could happen. They could win and be completely eliminated. Not even a playoff. Or they could win and go straight to the World Cup, no playoff required. That's insane. If Honduras wins, as long as they preserve their 2 goal difference advantage over Haiti, which given Haiti scored 7 goals in 5 matches is likely. Honduras, though, has only scored 5 goals in 5 matches. This is like terrorist ball happening here. If Honduras preserves its goal difference advantage over Haiti with a win, Honduras is going to the World Cup. On the flip side, if Honduras loses, they are guaranteed to be eliminated. And with a draw, Honduras would also need the same situation. They would need Panama to lose. They would need Suriname to lose. And a 1-goal loss for Suriname would not be enough. They would need a multi-goal loss from Suriname in order for them to be able to. So, like, if Panama wins, you following me? If Panama wins and draws or whatever, and Suriname loses, but only by 1 goal, they're on +4. Honduras just drew. They're on 9 with a +4. Suriname has more goals for. Suriname could lose and still get the playoff spot if Honduras draws. Of course, in that world, you would assume that Haiti wins. If Haiti doesn't win, let's say this is a draw, this is 9-7, and then Haiti loses, they're on 8. Well, then Panama could lose and still get the playoff spot. Because Haiti would be the second place team, but they would be on 8 points, right? They'd be on 7, they'd be on 7, they'd be on 9. It'd be a crazy close group, right? If Haiti draws, then they're on 9, but their goal difference is lower than Panama. So even a Haiti draw would allow both of these teams, whoever finishes lower, to go through with a loss, naturally. But then if Honduras and Haiti win, they're both on 11. And if Panama and Suriname both win, they're both on 12. At which point, if Curaçao beats Jamaica, Jamaica's out completely. The possibilities in CONCACAF, you can walk through nearly infinite possibilities, right? But the bottom line is Haiti could win and be eliminated. You know how sad that is? Costa Rica could win and be eliminated. But both of those teams could also win and go straight to the World Cup, no playoff required. All of this is happening at 8 p.m., which is 20 in your European time, but it's not actually, because if you convert it to European time, it's 2 a.m. European Central Time, 1 a.m. London time. It's going to be madness. I can't even tell you, but I got to finish this video so I can get it out so you guys know these matches are happening.